Trucker Dave, and today we're going dumpster diving. I'm not talking trash cans. You don't know what's in those. You don't want to stick your hands in them. And unless it's on top, you really don't want it. Besides, lots of animals like to hang out in these, and the last thing you do is get bitten by a raccoon you just hacked off. Now, first and foremost, we don't break into any places here. If it's locked up or it's sealed shut and they don't want you in there, stay out of it. But there's a lot of stuff you can find in the back row if you really need to fix your truck, or you're trying to fix something in general. Then the truck stop may not have it. People throw out a lot of money, and we're going to check that out. Now these are all walled off and they don't want us in there, so we're not going to go, but we will search the back row. This truck stop is actually really clean. It's a whole lot cleaner than I thought it would be, so we'll check it out and start looking for other stuff. I have a habit of picking up washers. They're always useful. Now, for all of you who know me, know I collect a lot of junk, but this isn't about junk. This is about finding good stuff that you can use to fix, you know, your car or truck, or get you out of a jam like this. Actually used a washer and a mirror bracket here that I had laying around. The inner fenders on these are notorious for breaking, so I actually managed to get it all pressed back and to fit. Yeah, there's a little gap right here, but that doesn't matter. Everything's secure now, and I'm not worried about this fender falling off anymore. So used a bracket to hold it down, a washer that I'd found, another screw, or another nut, tighten it all down, and she's secure. Dumpster diving, I did find an air valve kit that was brand new, still in the box or bag, so I'm going to keep that for something else. But this, I lost the center cap off this, but the ring's still here and the covers are still here, and those are good for spares. That's why I kept them. And every time I change belts, I always keep the old ones, and when I change belts, these will get thrown out and the old ones will go in, so it's always good to have spares right there. And if for some reason something happened, I always keep the part numbers here for the belts, so if I need them, I know exactly what they are. First and foremost, it's not about being a pack rat. I need to stress that this is not about being a pack rat. It's about finding useful things that you know you'll need later to do your job. Being a pack rat won't get you anywhere. It'll just get you a lot of useless crap in your truck. So I'll show you some of the stuff that I keep to help me with my job. I actually found a pair of Slim Jims right here that somebody had thrown out, and these have actually come in quite useful. I've helped a couple people out with these, so that's been nice. I got those. I bought that at a pawn shop. Imagine that. But when you come over here to my box of despair, there's a lot of tools here I've found. I found that. You know, these brackets are great. Even if you don't use them for CBs, you can still cut them and use them for other things. Screwdrivers, clamps. This kind of stuff I always save. With that screw here and all this, you can actually rebuild your electrical lines if you have to. And you can do it in a pinch. These right here, they look like junk, and essentially they are. But if you were to tear an airline and you couldn't use it, you can actually rebuild one using a coupler fitting on this end. Screw it back in and you're good to go till you can get it fixed for real. I also have those for both. I have two of those, and keep extra, like an extra turbo clamp. Found a hacksaw in the trash can. You know, clamps, bolts, exhaust, stuff like that. More electrical fittings. Oh, these. Where is that? Okay, I don't know why I have this many of them, but you have all sorts of things that you can use to rebuild, and most of this stuff I pulled out of the trash. Now, some of this I need to go through and throw away, but for the most part, it's real handy. So it saved me a lot of time and money having this little box here. Down here in this box, I have all sorts of nuts, bolts, screws, and fittings, and washers, and they have really gotten me out of some really big jams when I've needed some securement. So that, and these right here are invaluable. They just work for everything, and you could find them just lying around. Now granted, I don't need everything in that box, and I could probably get rid of a few things, which I probably should. The box is starting to overflow. But here's some other stuff that I found. You know, extra glad hands and whatnot. I found them laying around. You wouldn't believe how many sets of these extenders I've found. You know, Loctite, all sorts of stuff. I got all sorts of stuff I found here. Lots of money. This is something else. This was a light that I had replaced. Instead of throwing it away, I know it still works. Had a broken wire. Now I can repair this and actually reuse this light if I absolutely have to. There's still enough wire there that I can splice to in case something actually happens to that one that I replaced up there. You know, this is an alternative, and it's not a happy one, but it'll do the trick till I can get it done right. So instead of just tossing it, I keep it for a spare, because hey, these lights aren't cheap. Believe it or not, these wires right here with these plugs that go all the way back, you know, to the plug in there, I've actually pulled 2 complete ones out of the trash can that there was nothing wrong with them, and I keep them in the truck as spares, because if you pull these out, I'd have to cut this. With this particular model, I'd have to cut this and re-splice. Well, if I'm in a hurry, all I do is just unplug this, and I can actually zip tie the new wire to this there and run it until I can get a proper replacement. It just plugs in on both ends. So I carry a spare one of those, and believe it or not, I pulled it out of the trash and there was nothing wrong with it. Where I used to work at the tire shop, they would take wheels off and they'd always just throw the old lug nut covers away. And I picked up bags and bags and bags of those. You know, these right here. And they look really good, and there was nothing wrong with them. I picked up them. I picked up a bunch of these hubcaps. And for nothing, you know, why am I going to pay $9 for a hubcap and $1 for a lug nut cover when I can pick up about 90 of them for free, and they just let me have them? So that's something that you can do, you know. And it dressed it up and made it look a little better. Hey, it's free is free. So right here we find a torn glad hand rubber. Doesn't look like much, but I'll tell you what, this would be handy if you were missing it. Believe me when I tell you, it doesn't sound like much, but these rubbers can be hard to find. And if you really need one, finding one on the ground isn't a bad thing. You can put a little oil on them, recondition them just a little to where they'll seal, to where you can get to a shop and get a good one. Now, as we're on the back row, it is disgusting how much trash people throw out here, like that tire, all this stuff that came out of a trailer, and just generalized trash all up and down the line. But if you know what to look for, sometimes you can actually find something useful, like a mud flap. I also wish people would quit crapping back here and clean up after their pets, but you know, the old theory about wishing one hand and doing something else with the other, that's somebody did something else with the other. I actually did find 2 mud flaps that were good on the other side of the parking lot, so that's a plus. And if you can handle dodging the dog and sometimes people crap back here, you can find some stuff that you can use, but it's, I just wish people would clean up after themselves. Okay, well, if you work for a company, the companies also have a lot of neat stuff in their dumpsters. Now, here's the problem. This is a place where you work. So always get permission before dumpster diving in a company dumpster, because they may not like it. But I'll show you what's in here. There's a few good things, like the fridge out of the break room, and some fittings, and an old water jug. You know, there's value here, but this is stuff that if you need any of it, you need to ask. Don't ever take stuff out of a dumpster like this without getting permission first. If you ever come across a trash compactor like this, don't climb in it, because if you get stuck, you'll have two problems. So as we close out this video, there's just a few things that I wanted to bring up. This really wasn't all that in depth, and I had a lot of fun making it. I stressed a lot about getting permission to dig through places that weren't public and whatnot, but a lot of it seemed like junk, and most of it really was. Don't go picking up random junk. There's really no purpose in it. Just pick up things that you know you'll need. You know, those little mirror brackets, those, I knew those would come in handy for something eventually, and they did. Needless to say, I've actually picked them up and used them on actual mirrors. Those Glad hand rubbers, they're $1.50 at a truck stop. You know, you don't think that's a big deal, but it turns into a big deal when it's 2 in the morning and you need one, and you can't leave without one. And it can cost you a couple $100 to have somebody bring you out one. So finding something junk like that, that'll get you going and get you out and get you to a place where you can get a proper one. It's just all about finding a need, or figuring out what the need is, and then filling that need with useful things that people thought was junk. I can't tell you, I've probably 5 CBs I've pulled out of the trash can that people thought were junk, or people just cleaned out their truck and just threw them away. They work. You take it down to a CB shop, or you could sell them at the truck stop, 15, 20 bucks. You know, it's worth more than that. Well, you didn't pay nothing to begin it with it. You didn't pay nothing for it in the beginning anyway, so, you know, 15, 20 bucks is nice money for something that you didn't have to begin with. You know, I've found a lot of things along fence rows. If you go to the north side of a fence, I've actually found money stuck to the fence up there at the truck stop in Sioux Falls multiple times. So it's all about figuring out what you need. Now, you don't have to pick up every pile of crap you find out there. There's no point in it. You just end up with a truck full of useless crap, or you end up with my garage. You know, but, you know, these little hooks for bungees, they're actually very useful, you know, if you have a need for them. You know, you can hang things on them. You can fix bungees. You can find bungees in a parking lot with these bent. Pull the bent one off, put a good one on. Rubber bands. I use a lot of rubber bands. And they're free if you can find them. You know, bolts, even if you don't have a nut, these work great if you need a spacer. It's just all about figuring out what the need is and meeting it. So I hope you liked the video. Sorry about this last segment. I'm having a hard time with the camera. I need a new camera. But hopefully that'll be coming soon, and I've got some new edits coming, and I hope you like I hope you like the way the channel's going. If you do, drop me a note. If you'd like to see something, also drop me a note. I hope you all like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you really liked this video. It wasn't all that in-depth, but it was fun to make. And, you know, I just got to show you guys just a few ways I save money out here, and a few ways you can save money too. You know, there's no shame in, you know, repurposing things. That's true recycling right there. If you find something you can use that somebody threw away, put it back into service. You didn't have to buy another one, and you got the rest of the life out of something. So I appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe, and
We'll catch you next video. Thanks a lot.